Hey guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I am George. As of today, I am drastically changing the format of this channel. We are on a road towards adventure. This is going to be the first of a number of videos dedicated to adventure in and around North America. We're going to be doing it by car, by motorcycle, by adventure van, probably some boating and airplanes mixed in there, and the occasional travel guest. Anyway, I just got back from Maine, and I was there, a little 1,000 mile round tripper in the old Ford F-250 during some of the biggest East Coast storms of the past decade. And I brought back a sweet vintage motorcycle that I've been meaning to purchase for ages, and I finally did it. So let's get this old girl unloaded and see what we've got. All right, well, as you can see, I've got a new project. New to me, but very, very minty vintage 1984 GL1200, commonly known as the Honda Goldwing. The thing that is special about this bike, it is the last time this motorcycle was offered as a naked or standard bike, meaning there are no fairings, there are no saddlebags, there's no luggage and extra stuff. It's not as bare as it can get, but considering it was still being sold as a touring cruiser, it is a pretty stripped down bike compared to what people think is a Goldwing. The other interesting thing about this bike is it is the last year, or I guess I should say the last model that they offered a 4-cylinder for the Goldwing. This is the biggest, most horsepower 4-cylinder Goldwing engine. It is the 1200cc. It's actually like 1198 or something. But it is the sort of largest horsepower, 96 horsepower in this bike. After the Honda 1200 engine, they went to a 6-cylinder, which is a much bigger and heavier engine. So yeah, pretty cool bike. The goal with this motorcycle is to, in true cafe racer or tracker or bobber fashion, I think that this is going to kind of wind up being a Brat bike, if you will, if you're familiar with that style. We're going to strip everything off of it that doesn't make it go fast or stop. That's going to be pretty much it. There might be a couple of new tech bells and whistles that I incorporate in, but we're going to get rid of all of the chrome luggage racks, that huge honking king and queens touring seat, a lot of stuff. Definitely the old exhaust system. My understanding is those things weigh about 80 to 100 pounds, the whole thing. We're going to put on a much lighter weight stainless steel system that takes up less room and weighs less. What else? I mean, there's going to be a bunch of stuff. We're going to definitely put new handlebars on it. We're going to clean up the cabling and the wiring and get rid of any systems that aren't necessary. I don't know to what extent the Honda has an air ride system. I know that the rear shocks on this are air ride shocks, which, you know, is wonderful if you are switching things up a lot, meaning when you're touring, if you've got one person up, two people up, camping gear, clothes, bags, all that kind of stuff you're loading in, loading out, it's nice to be able to adjust your rear suspension so that it handles well. But honestly, you know, I'm not going to be taking this touring for sure. I've got a BMW for that. This is definitely going to be a local pop over to Watkins Glen bike, pop into Ithaca for bike night at a bar or a restaurant, or, you know, that kind of thing. You know, tooling around on the weekend cruise to go somewhere, but I'm not carrying camping gear. If I go too up, I can use a manually adjustable click or two in the rear suspension, which is fine. It's a one time, and use it like that all day and then switch it back when you're riding solo again. So I think that, you know, lightweightness and lack of complexity wise, I'll probably go with a set of nice compressive, or a set of nice progressive coil springs in the back. We'll check out the front forks and see how they look, see if the seals need to be redone, see about spring rating and how I like the front end on it, and maybe I'll get a heavier duty spring in the front forks. The front forks might be totally changed. I'm just looking at some specs on a forum, and I saw some guy that put CBRF 600 forks on the front of his, and they looked pretty sick. A reverse triple tree. You know, so we'll see. We'll see how extreme this build gets, but it's definitely going to get stripped down. It's definitely going to go tracker style. We're definitely smaller, lower handlebars, get rid of the windshield, get rid of the luggage racks, get rid of all the chrome. Probably bob this fender, probably bob this fender. Definitely going to get rid of the double horns and all these giant clunky turn signals and these riding paddles and these engine guards. We'll see how my big old feet fit into the rear brake shifting areas, and maybe we'll modify those slightly and elongate or kick the pegs back 4 or 5 inches. That's probably too much, 2 or 3 inches, so that my feet aren't getting caught underneath the head of the engine. Passenger stuff, I mean, I will probably wind up putting some kind of very small passenger pegs, but this is not going to be a 2-up bike. This is going to be a solo ripping around bike for the most part. I might put something super, super tiny on there because it will eventually be getting a custom bench seat. I'm going to go like very early 70s standard style. So it'll probably be lower down to here-ish and just a straight, really, really, really simple stitched bench seat that comes out over the rear wheel. Definitely getting rid of this luggage rack. I'm not super keen on this angular style of gas tank. This is actually not the gas tank. This is a cowl, a faux gas tank, if you will, that goes around the air intake and glove box and fuel filling area. The gas tank is actually down here inside the frame. But I'm looking into maybe picking up an earlier year model that has a more rounded gas tank cowl to put on there. Definitely going to be doing some custom framework to the back of the frame where the seat connects, so all this clunky stuff can go away. I'm leaning towards a circular round frame end that would go underneath the shape of the seat, and embedded in that would have LED taillights and turn signals, so all that would go away. These big clunky mufflers, totally gone. Probably gonna do a stainless steel, we'll get down here and look at what we got going. I mean, I know what it looks like, but you guys might not. You got two pipes coming out of one side and 2 pipes coming out of the other. So probably go 2 into 1, 2 into 1, and then some kind of collector right here under the bike, with exhaust out either side. Super, super small, super lightweight. Definitely probably getting rid of the center stand, which I believe this bike has. A lot of interesting stuff to come. Super, super excited about this bike. I've been wanting one of these, a model of, Honda Goldwing, to do a bobber / Brat style project for ages. And I don't know why, but I just never did it. Honestly, no excuse. They're dirt cheap. This thing is really, really minty. It's only got, what's it say? It's got 44,000 miles on it, which for a Goldwing is nothing. Most Goldwings you see online are, 150,000 miles, 130, 150. And they're still great running bikes because people took these and they toured with them. I've recently, looking at them, found a few lower mileage ones, but they're few and far between. And generally, when you get one that's this low, people are asking in the $4,000 or $5,000 range for a bike with this low of mileage, anything under 50,000 miles. Now, granted, they're usually a little bit cleaner than this, but there is nothing wrong with this bike. This bike is like super solid. The only thing that I noticed about it that I'm not keen on, and I'm going to look into, is it feels to me like the front brakes are really soft. I think on one hand I go, okay, well, is that just a 1984 motorcycle? And I'm going to say, no, it's not, because I've owned, trying to think what bikes I've had. I've had a CB 550. I've had a CB 354. I've had a CB 175. That was actually my very first bike, a 1971 CB 175. I've had a CB 750 KO. I've had a bunch of bikes from the early 70s to the mid 80s, made by Honda of this vintage, and those always stopped amazingly. So I think there's something going on with the front brake, personally. the guy I bought it from said he didn't really notice anything, but I guess he had been riding this thing for half of its life. He was the second owner. And I also am pretty sure that if you look, there's this little bracket here. And I believe that this is the first bike that has some kind of, I don't know what they called it, but it's a system where it links the back brake and the front brake together. And for smoothness of use, if you will, and to keep the forks from diving down, this front brake caliper actuates somehow under heavy braking. So I'm unclear exactly how that system works. We're gonna figure it out though, because the way the front brakes currently work, I'm not loving it at all. It's just super spongy and it feels very non-reactive. I would much rather have a super consistent, really hard front brake that I know how to, I can manage it because I know what to do. I know, give it a little bit, give it a lot, whatever. I've been riding a bike for over 40 years now. I think I can sort that out. So yeah, we're definitely going to have to address the front brakes. That's sort of a more immediate thing. And then we'll go from there. We'll figure it out. I mean, it's not going to be done in, a week or two in one video. It will be an ongoing project, but I'm super stoked to have this bike. I'm super stoked to make it look like something super unique and cool. And also, I'm super excited to actually use this for whenever the next gentleman's ride is. That's one of the reasons I've been wanting this bike. I've been wanting to do the gentleman's ride. Some friends of mine put together the Baltimore version of it yearly and the gentleman's drive in classic cars. And I've never had really a bike that I thought was appropriate. I've got a much more modern bike as my regular bike these days. But I think when this is, bobbed out or tracked out, if you will, and cleaned up and brought down to its essence, that this will be a really nice bike for doing the gentleman's ride. So I'm stoked about that. So I definitely will get this stripped down and a lot cleaner, possibly some temporary lighting, meaning I'll do tail light, turn signal deletes and get those down to the super smallest thing I can get them down to and still keep them safe and bright. Because I think I could probably do that temporarily for $100. Replace the old sealed beam with a modern super high output LEDs for good evening lighting, and delete this double horn, all this kind of stuff up front, because I've actually got this section right here. A lot of this wiring and harness is going to get cleaned up, and this is going to have a modern LED headlamp put in here, super high output. We need something. This is probably, my guess is that this is probably 250 lumen is what I would guess. And I want something that's like 800 or 900 lumen. There's no reason to have this old antiquated lighting on a bike these days. But this area right here, I've got a plan for this. This is going to be, we're going to do some custom LED driving lights. So this will be a traditional, I don't know what size that is. I think that's a 7. That might be a 5 and 3/4, or a 6 as they call it. It's not really 6, but I think that's a 7. So you'll have a traditional headlight, but then there'll be a small LED bar tucked back, kind of hidden a little bit in here, that will allow me to really, really put some light down the road in those more rural, no cars coming kind of situations, which is 100% where I am out in the boonies on the farm. It'll be very, very nice to be able to flip a switch and have a nice big a light, just completely lights up the road, floodlight, driving light, or floodlight, spotlight combo to really throw some light at a long distance, especially, around here, deer, they're everywhere. So you really got to be careful. A lot of light is good at nighttime. So that's where we are. Welcome to the Honda Goldie project. I don't know what I'm going to name her. What do you all think? I would say that when it comes to farm equipment and farm use stuff, I tend to go with the Viking Norse names for things. You know, the Ford pickup truck is lovingly named Freya, and the Ford tractor is Astrud. So, you know, Astrud was the first farm vehicle, hence the A name. You know, what are we going to name the Honda? It's a mystery as of right now. I think we'll come up with something interesting. If you've got any ideas, put them in the comments. I think I'm going to keep it black. Unclear. Could be anything. I kind of feel like that if we do a solid black bike, that it might be some kind of effect black. So it might be like a candied red black, or, you know, maybe a deep blue or deep root beer metallic in the black, something like that, something interesting. But we'll have to see. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Welcome to the new project, the Honda Goldwing 1200 Brat build. So you know, hopefully you guys are going to hang around and stick around for this one. If you have any ideas on what I should name the new 1984 GL 1200 Goldwing, standard or naked, if you will, let me know. I'm kind of thinking about maybe a Nordic Viking style name. You know, what cool ass warrior Valkyrie kind of name starts with an H, you know, for Honda, or maybe a G for Goldwing. You know, or maybe we go, you know, like Japanese warrior style. I don't know. We'll have to see. Tell me your thoughts in the comments, and look for a new video coming up really soon. I'm going to be working on this bike pretty quickly, and I think next go around you're going to see me do a stripped down as it can be and still be rideable. So look for that coming up next. Thanks for hanging out. If you dig this video, give me a thumbs up, give me the old like-a-roo, and maybe consider subscribing, share this with your friends, and I'll see you on the next one.